U.S. fighter jets launched airstrikes early today against two locations in eastern Syria. Those locations are linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard, and the Pentagon made it clear the strikes were in self-defense after attacks on American forces.
Israel continues its retaliatory campaign against Hamas in Gaza ahead of its planned ground invasion. Chris Mitchell brings us the latest from Jerusalem.
The Pentagon announcing U.S. planes launched strikes against Iranian-backed militias after repeated attacks on U.S. bases in Syria and Iraq by drones and rockets.
Again, it is our aim to avoid any regional expansion of Israel's conflict with Hamas, but we stand ready and prepared to protect and defend our partners and our interests, and will act to do so. Finally, in terms of force protection, the message is simple. As Secretary Austin has consistently made clear, we will take all necessary measures to defend our troops and our interests overseas.
The U.S. attack coming as Israeli troops, tanks, and armor conducted a raid into the central Gaza Strip for the second night in a row. The IDF says it struck a number of command and control centers and Hamas terrorists. The IDF also kept up its air campaign and says it has killed a number of Hamas leaders responsible for the October 7th massacre of Jews. Israel is continuing to ask residents of northern Gaza to flee the area and release this phone conversation with the resident of Gaza, who says Hamas is stopping people from getting out of harm's way.
أنا عشان أملك وسلامتك بدي تنزل ضروري لاتجاه حنينوس. مسكوا كل الطرق طيب. أما كيف ما سكروا الطريق؟ فهمني. يعني كيف بتلاقي ناس هم يطلقوا الماء على الناس اللي بدهم ينزلوا؟ أيوة.
Iran's foreign minister called on Israel to stop its air attacks on Gaza and warned the war might expand to other parts of the Middle East.
I have realized that according to the scenarios set by Hezbollah, any step the resistance will take will result in a huge earthquake against the Zionist entity.
He also warned at the UN that they will strike the U.S. if Israel persists in its bombing of the Gaza Strip. Amid the fighting, former U.S. envoy Jason Greenblatt strongly criticized President Joe Biden's call for a two-state solution, allowing for a Palestinian state in the Middle East just 3 weeks after the killing of 1,400 Israelis, tweeting, "There's no going back to the status quo."
What a beautiful name it is.
In the U.S., Christians showing their support for Israel. Liberty University held a prayer vigil.
Because we ask that you break our heart for what breaks yours, Lord.
And on Thursday, a roundtable of Christian leaders in America also spoke out on behalf of the Jewish state.
The American Christian Leaders for Israel is a network of Christian leaders who collaborate in support of Israel and the Jewish people. And in just 5 days, we were able to garner the signatures of over 115 Christian leaders from over 100 organizations to sign on 3 letters. The well-being of Israel and the Jewish people worldwide is important to us. And so we wanted to add the strength of our voice to that of the people of Israel and the various Jewish organizations working on these issues.
We continue to pray for all of those, including the Palestinians who have been placed in harm's way by Hamas, not by Israel. And NRB stands in complete and full support of Israel. And we bless all the people of Israel, and we will continue to pray for them.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
All right, thank you, Chris. Robert Stearns is with us now. He's the founder of Eagle's Wings Ministries, which connects Christians to the land of Israel, and he's also co-founder of the Day of Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem. That's an annual event involving thousands of churches worldwide. Robert, welcome to the 700 Club.
Well, it's great to be with you, but I wish we could be talking about happier topics, but we're in a difficult time, and Israel's in a terrible position right now.
Yeah, very difficult time. We're glad you're with us today. Your ministry is overwhelmed with requests from churches who want to know how to understand and respond to this conflict. What are you telling them?
Well, you know, I think for so many years, the 700 Club, CBN, our ministry, and so many other ministries have been urging the Christian church in the West to more deeply engage with the Jewish people and the state of Israel to understand the conflicts in the region. And right now, what we've got to zero in and understand is that this is not Israel against the Palestinian people. This is the reality of Hamas, which is a radicalized theo-fascist Islamic group that is tyrannizing that part of our world, Gaza. They're backed by Iran in collusion with Hezbollah and Syria in the north. And this is an existential battle. This is not a group that is seeking peaceful coexistence. This is not a group that is seeking a two-state solution. This is a group whose charter declares the annihilation of the state of Israel. And the Church of Jesus Christ has got to wake up right now and say, what would we have done as we saw Hitler rise to power? This is the same existential threat that Israel is facing in dealing with Hamas.
It's alarming. So what do you make of the pro-Palestinian protests happening around the world? What can churches do to help local Jewish communities right now?
Well, the first thing is that ignorance is dangerous. I want to say that again. Ignorance is dangerous. And we live in such a kind of social justice filtered world right now that when you don't really have the facts on the ground, it's easy to spin the narrative and make Israel look like Goliath and the Palestinians look like David. When you get closer and understand the situation that Israel has offered peace to her neighbors time and time and time again, Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005 and has been met by nothing but rocket fire. Ignorance is dangerous. And so what I'm encouraging every Christian to do right now is speak to your pastor. Pastor, does our church take a stand on behalf of Israel, on behalf of the Jewish people? Bring education to your church and then get your church in solidarity with your local Jewish community.
Robert, it's so important for Christians to pray for the innocent people in this, innocent Palestinians caught in the middle of this conflict. How do you balance the realities of supporting Israel and caring for innocent Palestinian people?
It's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. And people will often say, oh, Robert, you're pro-Israel. And I'll say, I'm pro-Israel, I'm pro-Palestinian, I'm pro-people because God is pro-people. But the path to peace is not the evil violence of Hamas. And so we can't confuse the situation in that way. The only pathway to peace for the Palestinian people, many of whom are innocent and are suffering horribly under the evils of Hamas, is for the complete eradication of Hamas. And tragically, unfortunately, that is going to require Israel to do the job that it has to do, and there will be civilian casualties, which is the tragedy of war.
All right, everyone, that's Robert Stearns. Robert, thanks so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.